Well, first off, good evening, everyone. My name is Sarah, and this is Gabby, and we're the co-presidents of Law Women this year. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the 2024 Law Women Alumni Reception. We are so grateful for this space and time to celebrate women alumni who have been groundbreakers in the field of law, as well as to connect and reunite with one another as prospective, current, and former NYU law students. I'm especially excited to welcome the admitted students here tonight, and we hope that by this time next year, you can be our members and maybe attend this event as well. So when Gabby and I took on our role as Law Women co-presidents, our emphasis was on building a supportive community and providing resources for our members to advocate about the issues affecting women today. We have strived to grow our mentorship resources, which, to name a few, include opportunities for students to be both mentees in our firm mentorship program and serve as mentors in our high school mentorship program. Events such as the SEC Enforcement Diversity Panel and Women in M&A have helped students see themselves in a variety of career paths. In addition to support, Law Women also has been a long-standing place of advocacy, and this year is no different. We have raised thousands for the victims of natural disasters, for abortion rights, and a local women's shelter. Additionally, our 1L students have the chance to plan their own initiatives. In the coming weeks, we will be hosting an event to help provide sustainable period products for underprivileged women. We are also extremely proud to announce that this year we have begun disbursement of the Law Women Endowment. The creation of this fund and its disbursement has been a years-long, and I mean years-long, effort, and I want to thank everyone who helped us in this process, especially Dean Kendrick. As our first initiative from the endowment, this semester we awarded 5 students who are pursuing unpaid spring internships with an $1,000 grant each. With this funding, we aim to eliminate barriers for public interest students interested in term time internships. We hope to continue supporting students in this way in the coming years and also look towards new ways to use the Law Women Endowment. As part of our community building efforts, we greatly value the opportunity to create a strong network of past and present Law Women members, and this event is an important part of that. Tonight, we look forward from hearing and learning from this year's alumna honoree, Susan Cromiller. Now, please join me in welcoming Dean Troy McKenzie.
Thank you for that introduction, Sarah and Gabriella. It is my pleasure to welcome everyone here on behalf of the law school to this year's Law Women's Alumni Reception. And I also want to give a special shout out to our newly admitted students who are here this evening and to welcome you to the NYU Law community and to hope to see more of you, not just in the spring, but hopefully in the fall as well. And I also I want to say the raising of an endowed fund, I can't emphasize enough how much time and effort that takes. That is a massive accomplishment. One of the things that you learn when you become a dean is that you have to count in base 20. Because any endowed fund, you can only spend 5% a year. And so in order to get a fund to the point where it can disperse a meaningful amount of money, you have to raise a lot of funds. And so I want to congratulate everyone who has come together in order to make this effort one that we could finally launch. Law Women is a group that encourages collaboration, conversation between women of all backgrounds at NYU Law and within our broader legal community. And it reflects the best of NYU. I've said this before, I will keep saying it. We are extremely proud that we began graduating female graduates from this law school in the 1890s. Decades before many of our peers. I won't be specific about which schools they were, but there is a school located in New Haven, Connecticut. We were 18 years ahead of them. There's a school that happens to be located in Morningside Heights. I'm not saying the name of the school. 37 years before them, and then there is a small school in Cambridge, Massachusetts, 60 years before them. So again, I wouldn't name names because that would be ungenerous. But in a way, one of the things that always made and has made NYU a remarkable place is not just the willingness, but the eagerness to attract talents in every dimension, every identity, every background. Think of Rosalie Lowy Whitney, class of 1895, the first female lawyer to try a case in state Supreme Court here in New York, the first female attorney-in-chief for the Legal Aid Society. Our great alum, the late Chief Judge Judith S. Kaye, class of 1962, first woman to be Chief Judge of the state of New York, and a remarkable jurist and administrator who changed the courts of this state and indeed changed this state for the better. About a year and a half ago, we were privileged to hang a portrait of Chief Judge Kaye in Greenberg Lounge among the other luminaries of the law school at a ceremony that welcomed her daughter and her granddaughter. Or more recent graduates. Think of Sherrilyn Ifill, class of 1987, former president and director counsel emeritus of the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, senior fellow at the Ford Foundation, and now someone who is endowed professor at Howard Law School, leading a serious effort to think more expansively about the 14th Amendment, an effort that is perhaps even more timely than we could have known just a few months ago. Think about Ria Tobacco Marr, class of 2008, director of the ACLU's Women's Rights Project, where she oversees litigation in that project and has made a remarkable name for herself. So over the years, NYU has been a place that has brought talent to it and has then launched it into the profession. And just a brief word of welcome and congratulations to Susan. We are adding your name to a list of remarkable names. She is the founding attorney of the litigation firm Crew Miller, PC, and recipient of this year's Law Women Alumna of the Year Award. She will be formally introduced in just a few moments, but I just want to say how grateful we are to you for coming back to the law school. We want to welcome you and thank you, and know how extraordinarily proud we are of you and everything that you have accomplished in your outstanding career. And as someone who is not just an alum, but an educator and now dean, this is where my lip begins to tremble a little bit. It's always wonderful to welcome back those who have left us and who have made extraordinary contributions to our great profession. So congratulations. And with that, I would like to welcome back Sarah and Gabriella.
Thank you, Dean McKenzie, and thank you to everyone for coming to tonight's event. We're so excited to celebrate with you all and hear from our honoree about her inspiring journey through the legal field. It's an honor to introduce this year's Law Women Alumna of the Year, a trailblazer whose career embodies genuine mentorship and dedication to fighting the challenges women face day to day, Susan Cremiller. Susan is the founder of Cremiller PC, a feminist litigation firm dedicated to fighting discrimination, harassment, and abuse. In 2023, her firm secured an $11.25 million verdict against Equinox on behalf of a former employee who was subjected to a hostile work environment, an extraordinary victory for workplace and gender justice. Beyond the courtroom, Susan is a mentor, advocate, and changemaker. She has served on the Supreme Court Independent Judicial Screening Panel, served as board president of the Gender Equality Law Center, and co-founded the Survivors Law Project, which represents survivors in cutting-edge sexual harassment and abuse litigation. Through her op-eds, amicus briefs, and leadership roles, she has amplified the voices of those fighting for gender equality. Her impact has not gone unnoticed. She was named one of Corporate Counsel's law firm Managing Partners of the Year and Distinguished Leader by the New York Law Journal in 2023. And as if her legal accomplishments weren't impressive enough, she also holds a black belt in Kung Fu and made history as the first female wrestler in her high school. Susan's work exemplifies the importance of uplifting and championing women in the legal profession. As women in this field, we know that success is not just about individual achievement, it's about creating space for others to rise. At Law Women, we strive to foster a supportive and inclusive environment at NYU Law, where women and allies feel heard, helped, and empowered. By building strong networks, advocating for one another, and fighting for systemic change, we ensure that the next generation of women lawyers can thrive, lead, and break barriers, just as Susan has done throughout her career. Susan Kramiller's career is a testament to the power of women uplifting women, not just in the legal field, but in every space where injustice exists. It is with great pride that we celebrate her tonight as our Law Women Alumna of the Year. Please join us in welcoming Susan Kramiller.
I'm gonna forget it if I put it there. Can I give it to you? This is such a huge honor for me. I love NYU. It's a special place. It's the cool law school. I met some of my best friends, lifelong friends here. My 1L roommate is here. One of my other best friends from law school is here too. And for the whole rest of your career, you'll have these special little moments where you have an adversary or a colleague who says like, oh, my kid is trying to decide if he should go to NYU or Columbia. And you get to be like, well, is your kid a moron? I'll tell you a little bit about my career. I graduated from NYU almost 20 years ago. I was a terrible student. Apparently, people like to say that. I'm not proud of it at all. I'm super ADHD, and I was undiagnosed and unmedicated, and I drank too much. I was always hungover, and I was a procrastinator. And when I went to my first class, I said, okay, I'm gonna sit in the front row, because then I'll meet some good influences, and I can't skip class if it's going to be so obvious that I'm missing. It turned out the entire front row had the exact same logic, and we all became friends, and the front row was largely empty for the duration of the year, or the semester. I was very interested in capital defense. I had the extraordinary privilege of working with Tony Amsterdam and his Capital Defender Clinic, he's just one of the best people I've ever met. If you have any chance to work with him or talk to him or just be in his presence, he's just a really amazing person. But when I graduated, for whatever reason, Legal Aid didn't hire anyone from NYU that year. We all thought we were shoo-ins. So we dispersed our various ways to different civil projects. I went to Make the Road for a brief stint, Make the Road by Walking, and then I went to Housing Conservation Coordinators, which is a very small tenant advocacy organization and tenant organizing organization in Hell's Kitchen. where I got to go to court all the time and stress a lot about my clients who weren't calling me back. I did that for 5 years. Then I went to a small private firm doing similar work. And I loved the work, but I could tell that my boss just wasn't really a great person deep down. And it sort of wore on me over time, but not enough to make me leave. Until I gave birth to my second daughter. And I was 7 weeks into a very carefully crafted and negotiated 5-month maternity leave when he basically called me and said, look, I'm so sorry, but I screwed up and I need you to come back right away. I messed up, you can't take your leave. And I was like, what? No. But we spent a lot of time, I pushed back and we argued a lot and it was really stressful. And I'm a very privileged person in every respect. I have all the support, all the community in the world, and I still just felt so alone and ashamed. I felt like I was letting him take me away from my baby because I was distracted, and I was just yelling at him instead of focusing on her. And it was really upset. Wow, it's been so long. I actually didn't think I would get emotional about it. But I was thinking about all the women who weren't, I knew that I could tell him to go screw himself if I really had to. And I just kept thinking, what if I couldn't? There's so many women and men in these situations who have to just sacrifice. And I didn't want that to happen to anyone else, and I decided to start a pregnancy rights law firm. It was, in hindsight, maybe a not foolish decision, but I didn't know anything about employment law or pregnancy law. I had no idea what I was doing. I had built up by then a good reputation in the tenant world, so I got plenty of clients, but it was all landlord-tenant, and I just would say I'm a pregnancy rights law firm where really I was secretly just doing all this landlord-tenant. But I cold called people. I invited myself out to meet with them. I worked for free for them, and I learned. And I guess that was 9 years ago now. Wow. But now I have a whole ass firm. We have, I think, 5 lawyers, maybe 10 people, and we've achieved some really groundbreaking results that I'm really proud of. We have advanced some really creative theories that have succeeded. And the truth is we're better than any other firm out there. We're better than any of our competitors. Certainly, we're better than any of our adversaries. But so this takes me to today. I pulled an all-nighter last night working on a summary judgment motion. I was in court this morning representing my best friend, kind of for fun, because she got sued. I am deposing a serial child molester tomorrow. And I couldn't imagine a more fulfilling career. I feel lucky every single day. But it's intense. It's a lot. I'm very sleep deprived. I'm a little bit loopy. It was also my daughter's 10th birthday yesterday, my little baby. The one who I was on leave with when I decided to start my firm. So I was trying to think, what do you guys want to hear from me? Entrepreneurs always tend to give these speeches that are very bro-y about hustling, and I don't want to do that. But I will say, if men are good at maybe 2 things, one of them is self-promotion. So I'll go on a little detour to give you my tip on that. When my kids were little, I would just be Mommy's just the best at math. I'm Mommy's just really, really good at math. they didn't know any math. So, that was easy. But then after my marriage very amicably ended and they asked if I was dating anyone, I was like, not seriously. And they go, "Mommy, are you a player?" And I was like, "I mean, kinda." But I wanted them to know that they can do whatever they want and be whatever they want, and they can be super good at math, and that it made it so easy. And I think that's kind of there's a metaphor in there, So in my cases, I deal with really awful things. Rape, child abuse, racism. Pregnancy and childbirth are one of the most visceral, maybe the most visceral experience someone can go through. And so many of us suffer through it because we're not supported and because we live in a society that still thinks there's some false dichotomy between being a mom and being a smart adult, which is insane. We're way smarter than everybody else. But there's so many wrongdoers. It feels great to win. It feels great to litigate. I love my clients. But there's no shortage of wrongdoers. And it can start to feel hopeless and terrible sometimes. But when you encounter these people all the time, you start to understand them. And you start to learn at the end of the day that it's very simple. People who like to hurt others do it because it makes them feel safe. It makes them feel emotionally protected. If I can other you in some way, then I don't have to really see you as a person, and you don't have to see me as a person, which is scary. It's vulnerable. If you're skeptical about that at all, just think for a minute about those wacky anti-trans people who sit around at home all day just being obsessed with trans people. And lots of people wonder, why do they just sit around obsessing over, it's crazy. This has nothing to do with them, it has nothing to do with their lives. But they do it because it serves them. It feels good to them. It feels good to them to reassure themselves of their own psychological safety and of their own ability to stay in their little boxes and to stay in control of their little boxes. But it's also sad for them. It sucks in there. There's no joy in those boxes. There's no freedom in being stuck there. Okay, so what does all of this have to do with the profession of law? You might be wondering. I'm going to get there, I think. We're in a big, momentous moment in history. And I think, when you think about what are the most important developments in human history, what is progress? What is advancement? I think you could think of technology, that's legit. But I think of it as we're not clubbing each other in the head outside of our caves, stealing each other's food, and we're not, hanging each other in the public square or whatever. It's how we treat each other, and it's the laws, it's the rules that we agree upon in a society. And that's why lawyers are so important, because we are the arbiters of those rules. We are the ones who make those rules. We shape what is okay to do and what's not okay to do. And I think when you grow up and you're like, oh crap, we're the ones in charge, it's even worse for lawyers, because people ask me all the time, can they do that? They can't do that. Especially with the Trump administration, it's but they can't do that. I'm well, they're doing it. There's no magical law fairy that, stops you from doing stuff. That's us. We're the magical law fairies. We have to go and sue people. And it's a lot of work. It's hard. And, as a result, or because we're just self-destructive personality type, we are at a huge risk. We are alcoholics. We commit suicide a lot. We struggle with mental health issues. We deal with conflict, harm, destruction. But we're shaping society little by little. And it's an intense industry, and it's a grinding industry, but it's one of the most important jobs. So we have to protect ourselves. We have to take care of ourselves. And the way for us to fight for what's right is the way to fight for ourselves. Are you guys with me on that? Yeah. Okay. Because now I'm going to go even more off the deep end. Of all my rants, this is the most feminist one. Joy is what sustains us. Love, connection, sustain us. This is why these are a threat to the oligarchy. They aren't luxuries. They make us strong. They give us power. And they give us inner strength. And there are plenty of people who can't see that because they are a prisoner to their misogynistic views that love and joy are weak, feminine things. Those people are absolutely wrong. Feelings aren't stupid. Feelings are good. They help us make smart decisions. They tell us what to do. And maybe like ye old-timey judge in the wig didn't appreciate that. I told you I was a bad student. But like, those guys are dead. Like, it's us now. We're it. And so the beautiful elegance of it is that when we find joy and connection, we're also fighting those weirdo anti-trans obsessors because we're demonstrating that there's a better way, that one doesn't have to be afraid, that one can live a free life and a joyous life. I'll be practical for a minute. I've been practicing for about 20 years, but I'm still like young. I'm a young lawyer. So please just like don't stress out too much about the decisions you make at this juncture in your life. I know when I was in law school, it felt like I was deciding the entire trajectory of my career, and you're just not. You're quite simply not. If you are dedicated to learning, you can learn in any environment. You can learn from any atmosphere, even if it feels like drudgery, even if it feels whatever, anywhere you are. If you're willing to make the choice to radically commit to your deepest and truest self, you'll always aim true. It doesn't matter what stops you might make along the way. And I think what you'll find is that the most important skills in litigation are the same as the most important skills in business, same in parenting, in activism. And that is learning to put aside your petty, bullshit, egotistical concerns and be willing to truly listen to other people. Incidentally, this is another advantage that we have over the Chads in our community. They are slaves to their egos, and it makes it really easy to manipulate them. I digress. All of us in this room are leaders if we want to be. We are some of the most privileged people in the world, some of the most resourced people in the world, but we still have to fight for our joy. And we chose a tough profession, like God help us. Our happiness isn't frivolous. It will keep us going when we feel like our adversaries are so douchey that we might snap their necks. I encourage you to make the decision to believe in yourselves and to believe in the importance of what you stand for and what you can do. and that love and joy aren't luxuries to be relegated to your spare time. They are our strength, and they are our life. I joked earlier about what a terrible student I was. And now I can laugh about it. You know, I turned out fine so far. But I felt truly terrible. For years and years, I just thought, oh, you know, if I could have had this other, better, different life, and I deprived myself of that, and I ruined all these opportunities for myself. And I still try to just tell myself, you know what, I have other amazing strengths. I'm brilliant, I'm creative, I don't let anything get in my way. Nobody has every single positive trait in the world. And those great students who were not hungover, they had their own different path that was perfect for them. So when I said earlier that my firm is better than every other firm, this is why. It's because rejecting the trappings of nicety and formality and worrying about what other people think, it makes you better at everything. If you're not afraid to see your clients as people, your colleagues as people, not being afraid to go to difficult or uncomfortable places, then you can be assured a life of meaning wherever you find yourself, even if it's at Columbia.
Okay. Well, we want to thank you all again for joining us this evening. Many thanks to the Office of Development and Alumni Relations, especially Alyssa Ward, for organizing this wonderful event. Also, thank you to Dean McKenzie for being here tonight. And lastly, thank you, Susan, for taking the time out of your busy schedule after pulling an all-nighter. It doesn't end after law school, I guess. And sharing your remarkable story, experiences, and perspectives with us. It was truly very fun to hear them all. We are so grateful that Law Women can create a space for all of us to come together and hear from inspiring people about the crucial work that they are doing. Law Women is committed to equipping the next generation of women with the tools, connections, and resources they need to thrive. We can't wait to see what Law Women members, past and present, will do in the coming years. So thank you all, and enjoy the rest of your night.